Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am Vince Edwards, the host. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also have a couple closed roadie groups, one called The Backstage Pass, another one called Death by Loadout over on Facebook. Come check us out. This evening with me, we have a very, very special guest, co-host, who has been in the house with us before as a guest of the show, based on his extraordinary career and resume. And as a co-host before, he can do and has done pretty much everything and everybody. We were joking earlier, just a minute ago, that it'd be easier to say who he hadn't worked for, and that if you went to a jukebox, probably 50 or 60% of that, he's worked with them, and that's no joke. He is a legend in the game, a dear, dear friend, one of the best electricians. Whenever I got a question about electricity, it's just like, go to Edison, go to the big beard. So it's the one and only Winston Dama. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, it's absolutely, dude, I feel like I undersold it. so no hyperbole, folks. You got to trust me on this one. Like, he's badass. He's done it. He's seen it. He's been there. How have you been? I haven't seen you for a minute. I know you've been traveling. First of all, so I know you've been doing a bunch of different work out there. I'm always interested in what you've been up to, and I also know you live in the mountains. So I feel like we got a few things to talk about here.
Yeah.
And we got a minute. Let's do this. But we've got also a great guest that you've also have history with.
Yes.
So I feel like it's an embarrassment of riches. I want to stay close to the clock and get this thing done. But tell me your story. What's been going on?
All right. Well, of course, we've been having a little bit of weather in California here the last month, and I live up in the mountains, kind of by Yosemite, and. It's just, there was so many trees that have fallen down all over the place.
Yeah.
Across the roads and the bridges, and roads getting washed out and bridges getting washed out. And the snow got so deep that nobody could get in or out eventually. And so there was actually a mountain rescue, like area code 559 rescue or something like that. And they actually came in and with snowcats. And we're bringing like firewood into people who'd run out of firewood, and propane, bringing people food, medications, and stuff, because people couldn't get in and out. It got, at one point when the snow started coming off the roof, it got, let's see, on my deck, it got over 5 feet.
See, I had no idea. I thought I was following the news, but I guess I followed the news that they tell me. It was saying that all this was going on big time in Southern California. And,
they had it too, somewhat.
And some of it was, some of the film footage was exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
I was unaware it had reached your neck of the woods, and that you were enduring, you and your lovely wife are enduring.
Yeah, well, she actually had to actually pass on a gig with Will because she couldn't get out.
That's crazy. Your wife's a rigger, right?
She's a rigger, and for the Pointer Sisters, and Will, she's wardrobe.
Okay, because what I meant to imply was she can pretty much get up and over anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's kind of spider monkey in her, you know what I mean? And so that really implies that there was a bad day at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, basically, you could open the sliding glass door, and basically there's a wall of snow right there. That you'd have to literally try and climb up. And and then what? Well, you wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no, you're totally screwed. Wow.
Yeah, so no, a neighbor came down with his backhoe and his tractor and scooped up snow from the driveway and the road to try and clear a path. It got so deep, actually, at one of the other locations near me, that they actually had brought in a bunch of bulldozers and dump trucks. And they literally had no place to put the snow, so they were literally loading it into dump trucks and hauling it off, like you would sand or dirt or anything else.
I fully understand. Yeah, now I can visualize this. It sounds kind of awful, frankly, buddy. But
it was a challenge. We had no power either, so we were just living with wood stove and oil lamps and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you got a beautiful place. I've seen photos of it many times. Yeah. And then you've had it's a California thing, You've had fire issues and tree issues and wind issues and. Well,
yeah. In fact, one of the times I think it was the first time I was either co-host or the guest. We had just gotten out of the creek fire and being evacuated. For over a couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah, we were sharing that common thing because the whole damn state was on fire.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we had one a mile off from our place, and you had yours was
that's
much
right, you
closer.
Did too. Yeah.
If I remember. So we were both worrying on for each other. Turned out good for both of us, thank goodness.
Now I missed some of that weather actually.
Yeah.
Coming back into your thing about the travel. So
where were you?
I lucked out. So one of the guys that I was going to do a bunch of stuff with down by the Mexican border came, and he was able to get me with his Jeep and got me out of there. So I left Janet to kind of fend for herself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
On that one there. But so we were down in El Centro for like almost 2 weeks, and
shit.
we saw clouds and we heard about the weather, but there was nothing down there, honestly.
Yeah, cold a little bit. I bet.
A little cold, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was a little cold at night for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And then speaking of travel, so right in the middle of that, it was funny. We were doing a training here actually, gosh, what, about a month, 2 months ago when the Tampa gig came up, and so we were doing this training and whatnot, and I had already committed to doing that run in El Centro, doing those shows down there. Well, I had also committed earlier to do another show with Ice Cube later in the month. Mm-hmm. No problem. So while I was sitting here in the training, I got a message. Ice Cube decided to move his show date on top of my run down at the Mexican border.
Oh, boy.
And it's like, oh, crap. I'll figure this out. Well, then I'm sitting here in the training. Then I get another text from Will, actually, wanting to know if I can do Tampa on the same day as Ice Cube just moved his show onto, while I'm supposed to be down at the Mexican border doing this concert series.
You're very popular. I tried to explain that.
Yeah. Well, long story short, I ended up having to pass on the Tampa thing.
Yeah.
I ended up basically having to book a flight, rent a car, go to San Diego, fly to San Francisco, then fly to Fresno, do the Ice Cube concert, get back on a plane, fly to San Francisco, transfer to another plane, fly back down to San Diego, get in another rental car, and then drive all the way back out to Calexico.
Dude, that is super rock and roll
Just
story right there.
to start the load in for an ABBA tribute band.
Dude, were they good?
I did it.
No, were they good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all good, actually.
Yeah, and Ice Cube, you were saying they had a great time with that. That it
Yeah,
was
in fact,
like
you heard something
Yeah,
through the
word on the
grapevine
street
that I
was-
rattled somebody's organs or something.
Yeah, they were telling me that the low end at your show was like bringing it heavy, and that there was some I think their exact words or something like, I thought I felt my heart moving or something, like moving around. Like
yeah.
You were displacing internal organs with super low omnidirectional waves. And I said, well, it's fucking Ice Cube, man. Whereas the one thing that got there first was all the fucking LFC.
Yeah, I was definitely pushing it.
Blow the place up as much
Yeah,
as you can.
especially the low end. That's
it's
that
just
kind of show.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it's just what is done. And they said it was a great show. You have fun with it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Well,
Totally.
This evening we've been first of all, thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and
Glad to
appreciate
be
you
here.
coming in today to help prep a tour that's going out for an extended period of time with our guest. It was very helpful and perfect because you guys have a freestanding, pre-existing relationship, and felt like that whole chemistry was like right on
Yeah,
point.
I think it's pretty good.
It seemed like everything went well.
We got a couple of thank yous I think we probably need to get out of the way here.
I think you should just get them off your chest.
Okay, I will.
All right, just just let it
So
go.
we want to give a shout out and thank you to Pat O'Doul, last week's guest. Outstanding video for the local 16 and the Bay Area, I guess, in general. Then pretty much.
Yeah.
Also want to give a shout out and thank you to Bernie Broderick for co-hosting the show last week. Bernie, of course, is a legend, if you don't know. He's responsible for some of this hardware behind us right here, and trainer for VDOS and all kinds of stuff. Amazing individual. Just fun to talk to, just amazing stories.
Yeah, he's been in the mix for a long time, and this is a live show, as everybody knows. They've watched this show before.
Oh, yeah.
He loves this. This is good for him.
Hey, mister, that's supposed to be on airplane mode during the show.
Oh, I've never done that before. I'm not doing it. It was my bro. Was somebody sent him a message, tell him we're taping a show? Seriously? Because he'll call on the other phone, I know. And it's going to ring too. 'Cause it's also not on airplane mode. Twice. It was bad. Yeah.
Also, I'd give a shout out to.
This is a very casual affair.
It is real casual.
Yeah, and by design.
Yeah.
By design, dude. No artifice. We're just doing
We
our
stopped
thing.
drinking though on the set. You know.
Well, I've always been the water guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Everybody else had scotch and wine and everything
it's
else.
always been a choice. Like,
Yeah.
Byrne, who was on a kick, I guess, for a while with the rums and cokes, and I think
Greg had a bottle of scotch out there one day.
and Brad Maddox came
Yeah.
on, and of course he had like a Glenlivet or whatever, like one of the special single malt things. You guys tell me what you want, and I'll get it for you.
Right.
I hope I told you that. And sometimes people make the joke that steak and lobster and Glenlivet, and others are like Five Guys and some fries, and
I'll do
obviously
steak
I'm
and lobster.
much closer to the Five Guys and fries guy. I can relate to that. So yeah, that's where it's at.
Okay. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to SMD Audio and Lighting.
Yeah.
They are a recent vendor or a client of ours, actually, and they're the ones I ended up doing the concert series for down there by the Mexican border. So, that's cool.
He's reaching that far down.
Yeah.
Wow, he's
Yeah,
traveling.
they've got there's a venue down there that's the Midwinter Fair and Fiesta, and they have a whole a concert every day at there as part of that event.
Wow. Good
So,
for him.
We used to do, I used to go down there many years ago to do that. And so I do things like Three Dog Night and Steppenwolf and
Yes.
guys like that.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
What's SMD stand for? You might know.
Sean Michael Dama.
Oh, yeah, and your name is?
My name?
Winston.
I share his last name.
Oh, okay. It's your son.
Yeah.
Lovely kid.
Yeah.
He's worked here a batch, and but also comes in and sub-rent stuff, gets amp racks and things. And just a good kid, really. You raised him right, man. He's a hard worker, go-getter.
Yeah, he's actually expanding. He's picked up some more contracts, actually. Found out.
Yeah, he's good client-facing, polite, a professional. And seems fearless. So, we wish him all the best. And he's big fans.
Yeah. Also like to give a shout out and thank you to Greg Price. If you don't know Greg, he's definitely a heavy hitter. He's been on the show before, and Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Van Halen, Rush, to name a few.
Did you see the Power Trip? They're doing all those ads for this Power Trip show. It's called the Power Trip.
No, I haven't.
It's a Golden Voice production in Indio, California, October 6th, 7th, and 8th, probably, I believe, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's something like Ozzy and AC/DC, Metallica and Tool, Iron Maiden, and so each day it's two of the biggest heavy hitters plus a cadre of badasses. And Greg is mixing Metallica on one night, I believe Sunday, and on Saturday he's mixing Ozzy, who of course has been his client for 25 years.
Years and years.
Yeah, and of course he's Black Sabbath.
Right.
But yeah, you're talking about, because we brought the carpet back out.
Right.
Yeah, that's Greg Price's carpet. It's his grandmother. This is a family heirloom, and it was used. Greg Price's brother, just because I'm name dropping like a fool right now. Greg Price's brother is the drummer of Pablo Cruz.
Right.
And that's how Greg Price got into the business. He was a drum tech for Pablo Cruz in the 70s. So that means he's had a almost 50-year career, 45-year, 50-year career.
Yep.
And has worked with the best, seen it all. Worked with Glenn Johns, like legendary shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, fuck. And he's now, and he's always been Ozzy's guy as long as I can remember, and Van Halen, Black Sabbath, weird stuff, almost the whole live career of Rage Against the Machine, and a sweetheart of a guy, and currently riding at the top of the crest with the biggest band in the world, Metallica, who he just took that job over for Big Mick. So the kids, I was totally surprised to come out, and the kids had whipped out the Greg Price carpet. And so, thank you, Greg. We love you, man.
Yep.
And he's about to tour to Europe, and we'll be doing 22 countries. And so we're not going to see him for a couple months. But we're going to have a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right on, man. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, buddy. Let me get right to it with this young man. He's been very patient, and we got a lot to talk about.
Let's just see what he's got to say.
Yeah. Tonight's guest is an incredibly accomplished guy. I'm just mentioning Greg Price, Winston Dama. I'm 55 years old myself, and I'm like the young guy in that group. But usually I need the older dudes to be interesting for me, because there's a history, all that history.
Yeah, well, we carry with us a lot of experience and wisdom.
Yeah.
Emphasis on wisdom.
Yeah. But I heard through the grapevine, it was Winston, that the great Will Lee was coming in. We've been following his career from a distance. And this guy, he's been a tour manager, production manager, technical director, front of house guy, monitor guy. He is a go-to guy. He's mixed one side or the other of the snake for Pointer Sisters, Taylor Dane. Worked with other great bands like the Gypsy Kings. So I fucking love the Gypsy Kings.
And Vanessa Williams.
Somebody asked me who Vanessa Williams was today, and of course the kids nowadays.
Really?
And so I told them, well, first of all, she has this history as being a Miss America, and her whole thing, like her whole, actor, posed nude, got in some trouble, blah blah blah, and they immediately went to the giggle, and they were like, oh damn. Yeah, Vanessa Williams, total badass. He is with us this evening, currently taking on the big job of front of house or monitors. He's going to do monitors for the great stick figure. It is the one and only Will Lee. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it is such a treat. You came into our shop tonight. We love it when the pros are in the place and they do what pros do. It's the work, ask good, clever questions, and are good examples for the team, how it's supposed to get done. I always ask people when they come here, it's an honest, sincere curiosity question. If they can remember that first moment, this is, to me, I always thought of it, I literally call people that don't work in our profession, I call them civilians, because they're doing something different. And
a lot of them out there.
Yeah, and there's not necessarily a lot of us, and there's a reason for that. And so I was curious if you can remember the first moment when the bug would hit you, when you realized I can make money at doing this thing, keeps me around music technology. Like, was there a moment for you?
Absolutely. I had a band in high school, and we kind of sucked, Equilibrium. But Dad was harping on me, got to pick a career. You got to pick a career. And I was like, I don't need a career. And I was just sneaking out of town every weekend to go to shows. And one night I walked by front of house, and I think it was a PM3K, and it just stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple crew guys, and it just hit me. I knew that my band wasn't going to take off. And I was learning to fix gear because all we could afford was broken gear.
Yeah.
And I built a PA by acquiring broken gear, and it just clicked then, though, when I saw the PM3K.
Dude, I so get that. That is, and the whole band story is so connected to this, and so does him and the great Bernie Broderick, and the two people, at least one of the guys behind the camera right now, full on one of the best drummers I ever heard. And if anybody by God should have a right to be like a rock star, the fucking producer of this show, and I'm not fucking joking, like crazy.
He's like badass.
Like crazy, dude. And
Seriously.
He's over here switching for me tonight. So there's no justice in the game on that. And so many of us, we just love the music,
and the atmosphere
here
at your shop, and the heavy hitters that are just stopping by, and I'm gonna need this, and
and let's stop for a second. Did we say that Scott Chavez was in the house?
No, not yet.
Okay, fuck that. Excuse
exactly.
me. So I mentioned, we were just dealing with the wonderful and amazing Greg Price last night. Tonight, walked in the door, somebody who I absolutely fucking adore. Again, he carved this statuary, this totem. One of my favoriteest things I've ever gotten. I get like crazy cool shit. I got a friggin' samurai sword from Japan, dude. And I love this thing. He's also like the shredding ass guitarist for this amazing killer heavy metal band called Short Fuse, and a great bass player for another hard rock band called My Heavy Memory, and a dear, dear friend. The great Scotty Chavez is here tonight, and we're gonna find a way to drop a photo in, because I've never met a guy that is more rock star than this guy. He is just a brother and a half, one of the best sense of humors, and a lunch friend that we go out and cause trouble in local restaurants and his constabularies just to, mix it up. Thank you for being here tonight. I had to give that love. It's negligent for me to not have got to that earlier. I apologize for the interruption of your interview.
We need them. We need people to be in the light.
Dude, right?
So
like, yeah, I've worked
so
for
we
this
can
man.
be off in the dark.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
tried to put sound in his ears many times, and he's like, you know, for mixing monitors, you know how that can be at the hot seat, right? Yeah, he's
Yeah,
always
I know all
let me
about
up.
it.
The couple times that I've done it for him, sitting right over here, actually. Yeah, he let me off when I was probably not getting it as right as I should have. And he was like, "You're good, man. It's all good." Yeah. So yeah, I got mad love. We mentioned in the opening that you just now. What's the history? Is this your first run with stick figure? Do you have some time with him? And you're doing monitors.
I think I'm doing monitors.
Yeah.
You know, it's 12 years, and you know, a lot of inputs. We're gonna max out, and that was the hard part of finding
Nobody
the
should have
audio
told them
package.
we can do this. You know what I mean? All the bands, they got too much information. They shouldn't know how many things we can input in.
Well, when we get quotes,
Then they make you
everybody
do
either
it.
offers a 54 channel split or a 56 channel split, and that just wasn't cutting it.
What
But
are you doing?
you guys came up with the
72 channel split.
72 channel split. Therefore, well, that's who we're going with.
Yep.
That's the audio package right there. I mean,
Damn. All right.
and we haven't even asked the band what's new. That's just where we left off on the last tour. We haven't even talked to the musicians on what they're going to add.
Wow.
But we got extras, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Did you enjoy the time with these guys?
Absolutely. It's actually though, I landed a Bobnet job,
No
which
kidding.
I know it's unheard of.
What's
I mean,
up?
I know that people are getting them, but
Sure.
I couldn't even imagine how many resumes when somebody puts their email up there, how many resumes they get.
Yeah, I actually don't know that much about Bobnet. Fill me in.
It's where everybody posts when they need a crew member.
Yeah.
You subscribe to Bobnet, so you get all these crew posts like
See, that's
tour
mo-
manager needed, monitor engineer needed.
This is some modern shit. Like, we do it through like a scheduling system I have here, or I got like a Rolodex that would fuck with your head. Meaning, it's like just by who you know. You jump around like that.
Well, everybody uses that first,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
So,
when they
yeah,
still need
this
somebody,
is, I've been
and
the mix,
the
I guess, on
clock's
the
ticking.
Bobnet thing.
Yeah.
But apparently this is the go-to place, huh?
Yeah.
No shit. And was it a good job? Was it something you've yet to do, or you've
well,
already done?
You know, I whittled my way to the top, and then they said, we're going to fly out for a one-off and see if you can hang.
Yeah.
And if you can hang, then we need you for this 3-month tour.
Oh, right on.
And so I did the one-off, and it went great. And
Fantastic.
now I'm going out on the tour. So.
That's how you got this.
Yep.
That's super cool, dude. Super cool. Like, we have friends. I'm not sure. I have a bunch of older friends that are like legendary in the mix game. Like and right now it seems like there's I don't know, Winston, if you're hearing about this or if you've been experiencing it, I don't know, but it seems like some of the younger dudes, first of all, for pricing, maybe it's availability, less crotchetiness, but some of the older dudes are kind of like struggling to get the work and feeling a little left behind. And like if you read their resumes, you have total scratch your head stuff. Like, how is this person not out front of some of the biggest bands in the world?
Right.
Because he's already been that and has an incredible, So there's this weird thing kind of happening right now, and in some ways, some of the baddest ass dudes on the planet is like Muse guy Mark Carolan. You guys are like the future, man. It's as simple as that, and some of the people that we just grew up, I mentioned Robert Scoville. Eventually, Bob, I love this man. But eventually he's gonna go home and spend time with his wife finally, and stop being touring the world with Kenny Chesney. And
Someday I'm going to do that too.
yeah,
baby.
yeah.
I got
Well,
you.
yeah, but you got time. You got the energy. I don't know exactly how old you are, but you're like in the sweet spot of energy, and so use it while you got it. So, well, it sounds like you got it figured out, and I know you put in the work. If it's about putting in the work, you're gonna kill it on the stick figure thing. There's no doubt about that. Cut your teeth. You don't mind if I jump around a little bit, back up in your career? So.
Let's see if I can keep up.
Oh, you've got this hands down. It looks like you cut your teeth as I'm going through your history. I guess what went on to be called PSI, but was formerly known as Audio Denver.
Yeah.
You know, putting in the work like I just mentioned. You know, shop guy, you know,
Yeah.
Tin wire,
Exactly.
building cable,
Building master
driving a
connectors.
truck, doing like, right? Like,
CDL. Oh yeah.
the honest way of coming up in this, you know, like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can read books and go to school all you want, but get a warehouse gig and then you really start learning it. you
Learn
know?
the gear, learn the,
Yep.
the business, learn the whole ins and the outs. And so do you feel important, that was an important part of your career?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know any other way to check somebody out.
It's the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Because
It's straight up boot camp, but it
Yeah.
just lasts longer.
and it's more strenuous. Well, boot camp is strenuous. Yeah. But
Depends on the time of year it is, I guess.
no, you don't get to just walk in and mix front of house.
No,
You got to understand how to disassemble a chain motor.
Yeah.
You know,
right, yeah.
and
That's a high art. I actually, on chain motors sometimes, that might be one because of certification reasons. That just goes straight to the, you know, stage rigging dudes when we want to err on the side of caution and come back with a cert, you know. So yeah, some things, you're brave or you're cracking chain motors. TMPM, yeah, like you wear some hats when you're out there. This Scotty Perlman, we'll take on, like we'll be front of house or, you know, mix mons, also tour manage and production manage, you know, like carrying the big load. For the great, like sick, legendary Pointer Sisters since 2008. You're doing that to this day, right?
Yeah.
This is your act.
the one thing that I don't do
What's
is say no.
It's clear. I was
And,
just pointing that out when I
And
mentioned
it's
that you're doing like
it
3 of the big jobs.
cost me a lot of meals
Really?
and sleep.
Sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're pulling it all together. You're dealing with it looks like the you know, collecting end, the keeping the band together, the logistics, and it's got to sound right.
Right.
That's a lot of responsibilities, buddy.
It is.
Yeah, and they get around. They're a healthy touring act. Doesn't our good friend Winston frequently work with you in that?
I mean, there's a great success story in there.
Yeah.
Is you know, the Pointer Sisters, we didn't have a front of house guy for when I got the gig. They needed a monitor guy, and I came on, and you know, a couple months in, I was like, why don't we have a front of house guy?
Yeah.
And pushed management on it for years and years, and but their priorities were other things.
And when they just count on the house guy or whoever they showed
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
there's some
And-
union dude or something like that, depending.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
I'd advance that and make sure that they knew to have a heavy hitter in there.
You had a bad experience though one night that I heard about anyway.
One night.
Well, at least when you're doing sound guy du jour, that when the backline tech you had to stop the show and have the backline guy take over at front of house.
Yes, well,
Wow.
Yeah,
we had to fire front of house guys sometimes because
Oh,
if
yeah.
they weren't
But
pulling
like,
it,
like in the middle of a show, though.
no, if they didn't cut it at sound check,
Yeah,
we had
right, yeah.
we had to go another route.
Yeah, Prince had like 6 dudes sometimes. Like
Right.
like 6.
Like a sub traveling with
You think I'm joking? I'm totally not joking. It's crazy.
No, but that, and so I was constantly looking for that front of house guy because I knew we were losing a personal assistant. I knew it was coming in a couple months, and I was like, that's the perfect moment to get. If we're losing a crew member, we can get a crew member.
But take and change the budget, that definition of what that money's spent for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing was, all right, fine. We kept burning through tour managers. I'd sub tour manage for a show or two. We'd get the new tour manager in. They wouldn't like him, fire him. I'd have to pull it off for a weekend, and then finally I got the gig, and it was like, well, if I'm taking this gig,
Yeah.
we're bringing on a front of house guy. And they were like, fine, you can do it. And I had saved Winston's card, like, this will be my first call when that moment
Yeah, he's good.
comes. And I did, and he's like, I'm in.
Yeah, he's really good.
And it's been great.
Great
And
ear.
boy, if you watch
Understands
YouTube
ear.
videos,
Yeah.
you can tell, like, the date Winston came on our camp.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
the
cool.
mix
It's that
changed.
clear. Yeah, that's very your job. No, there's a distinct difference. Yeah, I can see a change up, and the best example I ever seen. I can't cite it, but it was with Tool and 2 engineers that went between. We already talked about one of them actually tonight. To give a little tip, and what he did, the day and night thing that can happen there.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and Winston is extraordinarily good at his job and easy to work with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're very lucky to have him. We have a debate here, and it's less and less of it. It was early on, and I was smug and being sassy, and it was about some of the SAE, Full Sail, production type school things that are out there. And the benefit, it's kind of a benefit cost analysis kind of thing. I know that you got an associate's degree in show production and touring, and I wanted to know if you felt like the information you gleaned in that experience has helped you in the real world.
It definitely helped me get a jump start into the career path that I wanted. Absolutely, because they gleaned is a good word, because they, funnel it down your throat pretty quickly. And I didn't even understand what I was learning, but I was memorizing it and learning it and moving on to the next topic. But it was a resume item, and just started pumping my resumes at sound companies, and they were all like, "Yeah, we'll take you on.
Yeah.
If you get your CDL."
Yeah.
And which was fine, because
in your back pocket too. Yeah, just added value.
Absolutely.
The year we came
and
from,
I wanted to see the world anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
the CDL doesn't get you around the world, but it got me around the States.
Yeah, for hell yeah. No, totally.
But it was, in my opinion, it was absolutely worth it. And then I had the shop gig, and I had to learn it all again, but it made sense.
Yeah,
and
well,
I
now
was
you're
a
touching the
very
stuff.
fast learner in the real world.
Yeah. That's priceless.
I see the pros and cons to those schools.
Expensive and uneven results. But I have seen some extraordinary cats come from less than I've seen the ones that we struggled with and didn't work out. But I don't know if that's some indictment, but I was a little smug about it for a minute there. And actually, speaking of Bob Scoville, he scolded me on this one of the memes. It was one of those full fail type memes where and he reached out. When Bob Scoville reaches out to you, and he's like, "Come on, don't be so mean. What the hell? You gotta check yourself." And so that happened, and I thank him for changing my perspective on it. And then there's folks like you that found it a good leaping off point. A lot of us came up again to the music thing, and you just stayed too long at a concert and started helping push speakers and undo cables, and they're like, "No, not like that, over like this," and then there's some pizza involved in the beer.
And I believe you can get there.
Yeah.
You can get here.
Yeah.
Down that avenue, but it's going to be a struggle when you get into the depths of it. Companders in wireless, like what?
Okay, that's a huge thing. We talk about that where it's and we don't mean this as a pejorative, but we say it's the nerds get to be cool now. It's super.
Finally.
True. Yeah, it's so true, because what you're talking about is in the plug and play days. It was, it was a little bit about having a good ear and a lot about being able to have a good back and being able to have a thick skin. There was things that it took to me in the game, and it helped be kind of cool too, and have a little bit of an edge to you. There was a little more of a tattoo scene going on, if you know what I mean, and old school roadie styles. So yeah, and the technology that we're rocking today, well, hell, man. You can't be a dunce or difficult or not willing to put in the time. You can't be messing around with the periodic table too much. Stuff that was in the past.
Right.
That stuff doesn't play now.
No.
And the kids that we
you got to be specialized.
Like the kids that behind and they're not kids. These are men. These are 30 and 35-year-old dudes. But I was drinking when they were born legally. So to me, they're kids, but they're fucking geniuses. They're really smart. And I know you roll in that milieu. And what's the importance to you like I try to, we put folks into the mix pretty regular, put them in a steel tube and send them down 70 miles an hour down highways to work with others. What's your secret to being a good hang on a tour and the importance of that? You know, like literally, I'll take a guy that's a good hang and that we can teach over like a hot shot that's a pain in the ass, you know, like.
I think it's adaptability.
Yeah, man.
You know.
As we're sitting in 40 boxes of adaptive.
Did Bernie ever consider that this could be a backdrop during the design?
I'm pretty sure he did not.
He was thinking Sonic the whole
The
time.
funny thing is, me and Bernie started the show, right? And we always had this option when we did this. And the first backdrop we did it because we were over there and we were just winging it, you know. We were not that different than now, but we put some like VTX behind us, these big 4 or 5 stack tall VTX, and never even thought to throw up Bernie's. It was Bernie's stuff. I mean, Bernie literally was on the design team. This exists because Bernie and some other big brain dudes like were trying to deal with the problem, which is basically sound mitigation and and some other issues. And it's one of the most accomplished rigs in the world. Like, it's a crazy thing. And also, Tom Petty. This is the last rig he toured on 3 weeks before his passing. He played in this rig, and he toured it 3 years with. I love when the dots connect together.
Yeah.
Robert Scoville.
Exactly.
This was Robert Scoville's hot rod, and man, when you've got Robert Scoville behind this kind of technology, crazy dude, like crazy good. So yes, that good hang thing, critically important.
It is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're on that list of when I have an opportunity to swap a crew member, I know who I'm going to swap. You don't want to be on that list.
No,
Right.
no, you're not wrong. That's a good point. That's a really good point. You were out front for Taylor Dane, and I've noticed you kind of, you definitely do both. Do you have a preference? Because to me, they're very different jobs. They're very
different job.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's what the client asks of you.
Right.
Because I don't say no. And
I mean, but you put your flavor
but
on it, right?
I love,
Especially up front, right? At Mons, that is a total client relationship.
I love being a monitor
There's
engineer
not a lot of
because
creativity. That is like doing
Yeah,
the work.
you get to
That's
establish
fucking
a
knuckles
rapport
in
with
there.
an artist as a monitor engineer much more than a front of house
Yeah,
engineer.
yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
that's like you can. There's more. We have that meme about it with the lion, you know, the lion with the really suave combed hair. He's the front of house guy, and the lion who's just like, that's the monitor lion.
right, getting the job done.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's doing the work.
But-
whereas that guy's kind of, he can do some stuff. He can express himself a little bit out there.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that with Taylor Dane? Or was she as an artist that was very specific about her sound and knew what she had very specific directions? Prince was very much like that. He'd literally come out to the board
Well, when I met Taylor and she was like, "Oh man, I need to have you on my team," I told her, "Hey, I'm an excellent monitor engineer, and I think that if your monitors are perfect every night, you will deliver your best performance."
It's a great place to start.
And she's like, "No, I want the sound out front right, and that's what you're mixing."
Oh, true.
And so I said,
Yeah, she
yes.
was actually very kind of hands-on. I remember when I was doing that and was covering you on a few of those shows, she would come out and check things out in the house.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She spent sound check in front of house.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
And I love an artist that knows what they want.
Right.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's not everybody feels that way, and some of the old school heads really take exception to it. But yeah, that's the customer. It's one of the customers. You got the whole audience then too. But I know that sometimes when you got tour managers or band managers, that will also have some input that some front of house people can struggle with that. Taylor Dane, you did 7 years with her. You stay with your artists you're a loyal guy, and
Well, luckily these clients are loyal too.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say that I would imagine it's an ability to do the job and deliver, and also it's again the good hang thing, so critically important. Now you see it less and less. There's a lot of short-term 1-2 tour kind of things, and people move around, and I think there's a lot to be said for getting the hang of the artist and kind of almost being able to predict what needs to happen and what likely will, and then being able to respond.
Yeah, especially on those, travel day of shows, one-offs. You gotta, and there is no sound check.
No.
And that's what
Combat audio.
That's what most of this is fly dates. I'm so excited to raise the black and be on the bus for a while, because during the pandemic, I was flying under the khaki flag, mixing Zoom meetings.
No kidding.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, but
That's what this came from, yeah.
traveling with these fashionistas, black T-shirt just doesn't cut it. You
Really?
feel out of place.
You didn't think you would.
I mean, because and tour managing your arm candy and your so it was nice that during this last month of advance of this reggae tour, I didn't mention wardrobe or hair and makeup or even dressing rooms one bit. Never even came up.
Really?
It's great.
That last part is a little baffling to me, but the other parts I get, and I totally, yeah. No,
Well, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
No,
that's not their priority.
but that's rolling loose. To not have the dressing room issue.
Well,
Yeah,
but I'm
good
not
for you,
advancing
dude.
that.
Good for
either.
you. That you're saying the night and day kind of juxtaposition is.
Different clientele.
Oh man.
Different priorities.
Oh man. Yeah. Old school. I noticed you had done some stuff back for a minute with stage managing with the great Bruce Hornsby. I went on I'm not supposed to do this relate to my, but I did a thing with the Range and the Grateful Dead. Bruce Hornsby and the Range, Grateful Dead, and X-Ray Spec. 1987, 12 shows. Worst experience of my life. And and I swear to God, it was that day on, I was like, no Grateful Dead related anything will I ever work again. And that rule stuck. But he was actually a delight.
He's an incredible musician.
Like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows it, but there's no set list.
Yeah, really.
Ever.
Yeah.
He doesn't even talk
I don't remember how
to
that
the
went.
band about
Too
what they're going to
traumatized.
play. He takes requests on the fly from the crowd every night.
That's crazy, dude.
And the band is
Crazy
just like
confident.
Yeah.
hoping to hear the request. And he'll hear it out of the crowd, and be like, that is a good one. Let's play that right now. But the band didn't hear what that guy in the front row said, and he just starts playing, and they got to just glide in and figure it out. It's
So crazy.
amazing musicians.
Yeah.
Much respect to all of those guys.
Yeah, no, I'm always fascinated when you get to see like a batch of people come together and just click together like a friggin' Swiss watch,
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
There's so many bands that can pull this off, from Chevelle to Rush to on and on, Chicago. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches.
Especially without rehearsal or anything like that.
Yeah. There's through history. I was driving my guest back last night, and he hadn't heard Ventura Highway.
Oh,
The
really?
song Ventura Highway.
The
in
American
the
song.
sun. I couldn't believe it.
How could you miss that?
He was a 60-year-old man, a delightful man. Never heard Ventura Highway, and I was
Been
like,
on the radio for what, 40 years, 50
and
years?
I mean, that is such. Don't be mean, but my God, like just we've been so lucky. You've been a tour manager, a production manager, a technical director, backline guy, Mons, front of house, monitors to the common. Often doing multiples of these combinations of these often disciplines in our job, in our world, in the live production world. You've got to have a preference. I mean, like the one that feels like the most natural to your temperament, your disposition, your likes.
Absolutely. Monitor engineer. I love it. I'm doing it.
I feel
And I'm excited to be a little more focused for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Because it's too much. When you try to do all those jobs,
Yeah.
you don't get perfection out of all of them. You're just getting it. You're just getting by at all of it.
Covering it.
Right.
Check the box, move on to the next thing. I didn't quite finish there, but I got to do this now.
I think you can do like the production manager thing or stage manager thing and monitor position. You know, because they're
I
close.
always thought the stage manager, and I lived that personally, stage manager monitor thing and guitar tech.
Yeah.
So I've been that, and that all made perfect sense,
Yes.
proximity wise.
But doing the tour manager and mix thing,
yeah,
it's
you
kind of a
start like
challenge.
getting logistics in it or artist relations shit.
Right.
Like that's a whole nother animal.
It's tough when you're mixing and you got to deal with catering and transportation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a difficult situation to be
It
in.
takes your head out of it, you know. A little
Yeah.
bit,
And the window of engagement between, say, tour management and, say, production management is
Yeah.
quite different.
Yeah.
There is no limit to the window of engagement on any day with a tour manager.
That's right.
If your artist finds bed bugs in their bed at 11 o'clock at night,
You're at work.
you're at work
Yeah.
dealing with that.
Yeah.
And that's
Done
a
it.
real life.
Oh, no, I know.
Real
you're
life
speaking-
example,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, like you, that was said with heart, meaning. You
That was
know,
actually
you know.
when we did pointers in
Dallas.
God, that gambling casino thing on the river there in Southern California, whichever one that is, named for some guy I can't remember.
No, dude, like, yeah, that is just road stuff
Edgewater.
right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely road stuff. Again, I think in the beginning of the show we mentioned that one of my guys asked about who Vanessa Williams was, and Vanessa Williams, of course, is
Amazing artist,
like,
multi-talented.
yeah, like that. I don't know if she dances. I've never seen her dance, but she does everything else.
She dances.
She must, huh?
Well, she was in that dance movie.
Well, I don't, because she's done a lot of movies. Like she's kind of
And
the
I-
go-to beautiful chick for.
I just lost points because I forgot the dance movie.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, and I'm pretty good at this little sport we're doing right now. I'm pretty good at it, but and I know a lot of stuff about her. But yeah, delightful woman. That we did some benefit with her a few years back, and absolutely a treat. She was just total pro. You did production manager in Mons for, I believe it's still a client, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
If she called one in, you'd get on a plane and go make it happen.
It's all fly dates because she has so many other careers.
Yeah.
She can't take on a tour.
No, she's
got TV shows. She's doing Broadway.
Movies. Yeah.
And
yeah.
voiceovers
Yeah.
and
She's like
yeah.
Diane Carroll or somebody of her generation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like she's like just pure professional badass. I think she was Miss America for a minute. She was been a lot of things.
Yeah.
And kind of at the right height of it, you know, like killing it in all levels. Yeah. It's got to be a lot of fun.
still is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she gets to
Bring
do
a good show because I don't know much of her musical catalog. I can't think of her music off the top of my head, but bring a good show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's dynamic because there's Broadway, there's pop hits, there's ballads. It's
And
it
not surprising
follows
at all.
her career, and so if you're a fan, it's an amazing show.
Yeah, it's not even kind of surprising.
No.
She's a class act. She's a total pro.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the thing I saw her, she did 2 numbers, and they were both covers, and she killed them. You know, it was a bunch of hired guns, badasses behind her, and yeah, it was just it was a
And that was probably what
total class act.
the client above her wanted.
Of course. Yeah, no, she's a worker.
Yeah.
She's a worker. She brings it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got to ask you about being a high ropes instructor, an adventure guide, certified wilderness first aid. Now, that's some rugged shit. Just in the description, I got tired. You got to tell me about it.
Well,
Ropes instructor.
I think before I knew I could be a pirate, I wanted to be an adventurer.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
at heart.
You didn't,
And
so
that's
with you, man. I still kind of want to.
Yeah.
like
And I
seriously.
still am.
Silk Road and shit.
Like Winston, I live above 8,000 feet. When it snows, I wake up and I snowboard down my driveway, and then I, have to walk back up and plow.
Yeah.
But
You're living that. You're doing it.
when possible, I'm outside on an adventure.
Oh, right on, man. That's so good. That's where you feel it in your heart.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
But that doesn't.
I hit my
Mike.
mic.
But I haven't found a way to make that pay the bills, just to be adventuring.
I know. Goodness gracious. Well, you were an
But
adventure guide,
this is quite the adventure though too.
right? Yeah. Now you're getting to see the world, doing your thing, like meeting interesting people. Yeah, it's got to be cool. But does a high ropes instructor imply climbing?
Absolutely.
Like this rock climbing, sheer face climbing, tree climbing. What are we talking about?
Well, I grew up working at a summer camp. That's where all that stuff came to be. Is, you know, I'd take city kids out in the woods, go camping for a week. I'd take them on canoe trips for a week, and then we'd go to the ropes course and test their boundaries, you know, and get them to walk off the ledge and do zip
Trust
line.
exercises. And all
Exactly.
that.
And, you know, for inner city kids that don't do that in the outdoors, it was really great to push them and
just a tiny bit sadistic.
yeah.
I threw my
Half
spin
of
on
them
it.
loved it. The other half was like,
Terrorized.
I don't need.
I'm not. Why would I jump off a perfectly good platform? There's nothing
Right.
below.
Why am I out in the woods?
Where is the balcony, like at my skyscraper in town? You know.
Hey, Will, didn't you do Outward Bound also? Didn't you tell me that at one time?
No, but I was similar to that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was the guide taking these kids out and
Got it.
you know
Okay.
Yeah.
trying to show them other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed you worked with a band that I just love. Sometimes I got to pull stuff out of your guys' resumes that, you know, that I can relate to. The Gypsy Kings. Like, for guitarists, dude, and I'm kind of a string instrument guy who's wise. That thing they do with that Spanish guitar mix with, I can't even describe them properly. It had to be thrilling. I mean, just they're a fun band to see live the many times that we have. And
Yeah, didn't
Informal
speak a
settings.
lick of English.
yeah, I would
You
have
know,
no idea.
and but it was amazing to work with them and to see that. And I still don't know what they're doing with all those guitars, but they're doing it,
Killing it.
and it feels great.
Yeah, no, it's that Spanish traditional guitar playing, and you know, with the little mix of the gypsy thing, which
Yeah.
is, you know, a 1,000-year-old tradition, and they do it at a level that's just crazy good. Was it a fun experience working with them?
Oh, absolutely. It was that was my first tour bus experience, and did a couple runs with them. You know, just flying PAs, but you're still there for it all.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
Still love them.
Yeah, I bet. I can only imagine. I forgot to do something that I do every show. It's traditional. It's kind of like Carol Burnett pulling her ear to say hi to her mom, but I'm not Carol Burnett. So yeah, a little bit of a stretch there. Honey, I love you. Okay, just had to throw that in there.
And yeah, I got one too, honey. Thank you for putting up with my egregious schedule. And I swear we're going to take a vacation on the dates you pick one of these times.
Dude, that felt
Hey,
like
hold on. Janet, ditto what Will said. Okay.
you could have put a little more behind that, Winston. I'm sorry. I felt like he really sent it.
Yeah, you know, he had a lot of heart in there. Mine
And
was
I love my chick so much. I'm going to go see her
Well, you do
tonight.
it every week.
Yeah, but I just noticed the card right here because I don't want to miss that. You know, it's like a tradition. You know, 130
I didn't need the card.
times. Yeah, but you killed it, and then he diddoed it. But I know you love your girl.
I do.
I know that. And we've
Janet,
talked about it.
he meant it. He meant it.
Yeah, he did. And dude, honor that shit. You know, like that's important stuff. That's important stuff. Yeah, I fully made choices to not be in a certain part of my
That's
life
one of the
anymore. to be able to
challenges,
try
I
to do
think,
love.
in this industry
no,
is to
huge.
try and balance,
Huge.
you know,
Yeah.
your personal life, relationships and stuff with being gone, you know?
If you can find a gal that can put up with our nonsense, like that's half the gig right there. Like just that alone is a huge plus because it's actually different than it was in the day. The day that, you know, if you were successful, you stayed out until you weren't selling tickets anymore. That was just how it worked, man. Like you'd do a loop, you'd come back around, like that was some shit, and then there was other bad behaviors. Like think about it, you know, the periodic table thing I mentioned before. There was actually a thing called groupies. Those were real. Those existed. Like, yeah, I don't know if you had to have.
I've
those
never
in
seen
your-
them.
Yeah, yeah. I've never seen them.
Actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that doesn't really.
Heard of 'em.
There's a couple tours that have them. I can't name anybody, Motley Crue, but that would have that. But really, it's limited. Still, maybe a little at the Aerosmith show, you know, like. But for the most part, you don't. That's kind of a dead. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's a thing like it used to be.
No, because it was a real thing.
Oh yeah, when you look
like
at
a full-on thing.
yeah, I mean they're
Yeah.
writing books and memoirs and whatnot of all their experiences with all the rock stars of old, you know.
The original ones called themselves the Band-Aids, and there's at least 3 books
Right.
from their perspective. And these are, you know, girls that hung out with like David Bowie and Robert Plant and shit, and were like considered not how we think, or I think is the pejorative of groupies. I think they're thought more of as muses. Like the L.A. muses or the New York muses. That's a real thing, and there's a lot of, if you got a problem with it, like or drugs, you go home and throw out half of your like record collection because there's girls and drugs that are responsible for more great songs and great music than any other thing, and that's because they make the world go round. The importance of a good crew team. I mean it's critical, right? You get on a job site, and you got people you can trust, and you can almost do that. Almost.
Everything's connected.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. And a little bad attitude here can ripple over somewhere else to where someone has to make a quick decision. And if they're, you know, off put from a earlier incident or crew member, it can skew that decision, and then we all feel it.
Well, see that one? It says the importance of a positive attitude. And what made me write that down, because it flew out of my head, because of, you know, going through your history, the way that you, there's a line at the end, it says, grateful for your time, that's why this resume is so condensed. It was like, it says so much, dude. You know what I mean? You were able to be concise and help me better write the show. But also, it was so clear that you were coming from this positive place, the way that you spoke, the way that you conveyed information. And it's so much about how you carry it, you know, in the world.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so...
It matters.
It's for everybody. Like you said, the ripple effect is super real, and you can stink up the atmosphere pretty quick. And it goes back to that thing. I guess it got some strain or some thing, the thread going through this because about the good hang thing again. It's as important as being a good patch guy. Being able to turn the knobs and push the faders. There's a bunch of stuff going on there. Being able to get the guitars tuned properly.
And it buys you a little forgiveness.
Yeah, that's
if
right.
You screw something up, they're like, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Bad things happen.
It's funny
but
you
if
say that. I wouldn't have
but
thought
if they
of
don't
that.
like you, it's like,
Right.
oh, that's a reason to fire them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no,
That's true.
That's a very good point. Yeah, you definitely earned some credit. I think we discussed what's next for you. We're right up against it. You're going out with a stick figure. You're gonna go and make some great memories and put some smile on faces and practice your art.
Exactly. No, I've always,
excited?
it's been a goal of mine to, always do a reggae tour, and on this scale.
Yeah. Well, stick figure, pretty real deal thing. So,
Yeah. It's a headlining tour.
Yeah.
Festivals. It looks like a bunch of sheds and lawns.
And weed.
And it
Had to do it.
lawns of weed.
Yeah.
That's why I got the empty road case. That's what everybody's asked. What's the empty road case for?
Nowadays, like there's a lot of people just giving. There's quantity of this available. It's crazy. The Cannabis Cup shows and so on. There's just,
Yeah, but I'm excited to hone my audio skills and take them to the next level. Because you do, when you're on the road, you got the same gear every night. You can really progress. Where you do a fly date every weekend, you got to catch back up first half of the day, and it's hard to find a rhythm with a different console every night.
Sure, God, yeah. You have a preference?
Yeah, S6L.
Right on.
It gets the job done I've never wanted to do something with it and it not be able to do it.
Oh, that's a great testimony. I'm sure the good folks at Avid would appreciate that. Yeah, some of the best work off the S6L. The Scoville was with Chesney. I think Brad Maddox with Flow in the Machines. Greg Price with 6 of them for Metallica. At least I think he's in control of 3, at least. But because the damn thing does the work. I want to thank you for being in this shop. It was being here on the show. It was a treat to watch you work, and you're an absolute professional. I wish you. I see a long career for you of doing big shows and working with great artists. And we'll check you out, and maybe we'll have you back sometime. You come and grace us again and share your experiences. Thanks for being here, brother.
No, thank you. Thanks to your guys and the amazing gear. Set me up for success. I appreciate it.
You're gonna kill it, man. You're a badass. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Winston Dama,
Yes, sir.
buddy. Again, I owe you a big thank you for being in the shop today and making sure that everything went just so. We strive for perfection, and when you're around, the odds of that happening go way up. And
Well.
so we appreciate you.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I came here, honestly. I'm
Dude.
not kidding about that.
No,
I
I
got
didn't
real
think you were kidding.
frustrated with some of the places I was before, and they were striving for mediocrity,
Yeah,
and it just bugged the
unacceptable.
shit out of me to never be able to take it to the next level. you know?
Yeah, sometimes you got to spend some money to make some money, and we try to be very careful with that. But the direction is always make it right, make it presentable, make it functional. Like, we're not like, spitting and rubber and baling wire. That is not how it works here.
We have some of that.
We want dependability, and we want guys that can do things. And
Right.
that's where you are blow me away, because you can just as rebuild an amp, or frankly anything. I've never put anything in front of you that you
Yep.
couldn't make better, or go out and mix the big rock show. Yeah, it's an invaluable thing, and in a world of people that are specializing more and more, this is something that is lost on them, and they don't know what they're missing.
Well, that's one thing. Like Will brought up getting like a warehouse gig and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's that time and experience you get from being in the trenches, in those trenches, where you basically, maybe you didn't get the tool you really need. So it's kind of look around and like, well, what do I have to work with?
Yeah.
And
Time
you
to make do. Make
you
it
make the
happen.
best out of whatever that is.
Yeah. Usually, we try to make it so there's as little combat audio as possible by
Yeah.
being prepared, being on top of our stuff. Constant QC issues and testing and so on.
Yeah.
Is so many things to come down to procedure.
Yeah.
Having protocols on stuff, and then just an understanding of what the standard is. And so we're lucky to have a guy like you here. And thank you for being here tonight to talk with our wonderful guest and sharing the co-host seat. We hope that you'll consider doing it again.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you're in the neighborhood, we'll sort this out. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got some great guests coming up as it relates to that. Now, I'm stoked that we got this good guest. I believe you guys just had an interaction with him when you had to bow out of a show with the great Dennis. I'm gonna kill his name.
I think it's Rividera.
Rivadera.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
No, he bailed me out because
Yeah.
Winston was
For you.
triple booked
Yeah.
and last minute
Yeah.
pop-up show.
And he
And
came in.
he came in and killed it. So
Yeah,
thanks,
yeah.
Dennis.
That Dennis, no, he's going to be our guest next week, a week from now.
Oh, right on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's a small world thing.
Right.
Totally me and him had this worked out or we talked about it at least a couple months ago.
Right.
And he hadn't done that at that point. And so I'm glad to hear that went well. He's a badass, obviously front of house guy. He works over at OSA International. He's really covered the planet, man. He's done a bunch of cool stuff. Solid state
Right.
logic. We're gonna let him tell you himself. He's gonna be on the show next week. Come check it out. We know that there's 1,000 places you can be, and you choose to be here and check our thing out. We appreciate it. We do it every Thursday night around 7 p.m. and we'll be doing it again next week. Until then, be good, be kind to each other, and we'll see you then. Good night.